My name is Emma and today I'll be reading Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone by J.K. Rowling. Chapter 17, The Man with Two Faces. It was Quirrell! Yo! Gasped Harry. Quirrell smiled. His face was twitching at all. Me, said calmly. I wonder whether I'd be immediately here, Potter. But I thought Snape Severus could last time it wasn't his usual quiver and tremble either, but cold and sharp. Yes, Severus does seem the type, doesn't he? So useful to have him sweeping around like an overgrown bat. Next to him, who'd suspect? Poor stuttering Professor Quirrell. Harry couldn't take it, and this couldn't be true, it couldn't. But Snape tried to kill me. No. I tried to kill you. Your friend Miss Granger accidentally knocked me over as you rushed to set fire to Snape at the Quidditch match. She broke my eye contact with you. Another few seconds I'd have got you off that room. I'd have managed it before then if Snape hadn't been muttering a counter curse trying to save you. Snape trying to save me? Of course, Quirrell coolly. Why do you think he wanted to referee next match? He was trying to make sure I didn't do it again. Funny, really. You needn't have been bothered. I couldn't do anything with Dumbledore watching. All the other teachers thought Snape was trying to stop Gryffindor winning. He did make himself unpopular. And what a waste of time when, after all of that, I'm going to kill you tonight. Quirrell snapped his fingers. Whips sprang out of thin air and wrapped themselves around Harry. You're too nosy to live, Potter, scurrying around the school at Halloween like that. For all I knew, you'd seen me coming to look at what was guarding the stone. You let that troll in. Certainly. I have a special gift with trolls. You must have seen what I did to the one in the chamber back there. Unfortunately, while everyone else was running around looking for it, Snape, who had already suspected me, went straight to the third floor to head me off. And not only did my troll fail to beat you to death, that three-headed dog didn't even manage to bite Snape's leg properly. Now, wait quietly, Potter. I need to examine this interesting mirror. It was only then Harry realized what was standing behind Quirrell. It was the mirror of Everzed. This mirror is the key to finding the stone, Quirrell murmured, tapping his way around the frame. Trust Dumbledore to come up with something like this. But he's in London. I'll be far away by the time he gets back. All Harry can think of doing was to keep Goose talking and stop him concentrating on the mirror. I thought you weren't Snape in the forest, he blurted out. Yes, said Quirrell idly, walking around the mirror to look at the back. He was on to me by that time, trying to find out how far I've got. He suspected me all along, tried to frighten me as though he could when I had Lord Voldemort on my side. Quirrell came back out from the mirror and stared hungrily into it. I see the stone. I'm presenting it to my master. But where is it? Harry struggled against the ropes binding him, but they didn't go. He had to keep Quirrell from his home attention that much to the mirror. But Snape always seems to hate him so much. Oh, he does. And Quirrell casually, heavens, yes. He was at Hogwarts with your father, didn't you know? They loved each other, but he never wanted you dead. I heard you a few days ago, sobbing. I thought Snape was threatening you. For the first time, a spasm of fear flitted across Quirrell's face. Sometimes, he said, I find it hard to follow my master's instructions. He is a great wizard and I'm weak. You mean he will stay in the classroom with you? Harry gasped. He is with me wherever I go, said Quirrell. I met him while I was travelling around the world. A foolish young man I was then, full of ridiculous ideas about good and evil. Lord Voldemort showed me how wrong I was. There is no good and evil. There is only power, and those too weak to seek it. Since then I've served him faithfully, although I have let him down many times. He has had to be very hard on me. Quirrell shivered suddenly. He does not forgive mistakes easily. When I failed to seize the stone from Gringotts, he was most displeased. He punished me, decided he would have to keep a closer watch on me. Quirrell's voice tailed away. Harry was remembering his trip to Diagon Alley. How could he have been so stupid? He'd seen Quirrell there that very day, shaking hands with him in the leaky corridor. Quirrell cursed under his breath. I don't understand. Is the stone inside the mirror? Shall I break it? Harry's mind was racing. What I want more than anything was in the world at the moment, he thought, is to find the stone before Quirrell does. So if I look in the mirror, I should see myself finding it, which means I see where it is hidden. But how can I look without Quirrell realizing what I'm up to? He tried to edge to the left to get in front of the glass without Quirrell noticing, but the ropes around his ankles were too tight. The ropes were too tight. He tripped and fell over. Quirrell ignored him. He was talking to himself. What does this do? How does it all work? Help me, Master. And to Harry's horror, a voice answered, and the voice seemed to come from Quirrell himself. Use the boy! Use the boy! Quirrell ran in on Harry. Yes, Potter, come here. He clapped his hands once, and the ropes binding Harry fell off. Harry got slowly onto his feet. Come here, Quirrell repeated. Look in this mirror and tell me what you see. He walked towards him. I must lie, he thought to must look and lie about what I see. That's all. Quirrell moved close behind him. Harry breathed in the funny smell that seemed to come from Quirrell's turban. He closed his eyes, stepped in front of the mirror, and opened them again. He saw his reflection, pale and scared, looking at Verge. But a moment later, the reflection smiled at him. It put its hand into its pocket and pulled out a blood-red stone. It went and put the stone back in its pocket. As it did so, Harry felt something heavy drop into his real pocket. Somehow, incredibly, he'd got the stone. Because he looked into the mirror so he could get it. Well, said Quirrell impatiently, what did you see? Harry screwed up his courage. I see myself shaking hands with Dumbledore, he amended. I've won the House Cup for Gryffindor. Quirrell cursed again. Get out of the way, he said. As Harry moved aside, he felt the Philosopher's stone against his leg. Dare he make a break for it? But he hadn't walked 5 paces before a high voice spoke. Though Quirrell wasn't moving his lips. He lies! He lies! Pot, come back here! Quirrell shouted. Tell me the truth. What did you just see? The high voice spoke again. Let me speak to him face to face. Master, you're not strong enough. I have strength enough for this. Harry felt as if devil's nails rooting him to the spot. He couldn't move a muscle. Petrified. He watched as Quirrell reached up and began to unwrap his turban. What was going on? The turban fell away. Quirrell's head looked strangely small without it. Then he turned slowly on the spot. Harry would have screamed, but he couldn't make a sound. Where there should have been the back of Quirrell's head, there was a face, the most terrible face Harry had ever seen. It was chalk white with glaring red eyes and slits for nostrils like a snake. Harry Potter, it whispered. Harry tried to take a step backwards, but his legs took a spin. See what I have become, the face said. See what I have become. The face said, mere shadow and vapour. I am form only when I can share another's body. But there have always been those willing to let me into their hearts and minds. Unicorn blood has strengthened me these past weeks. You saw faithful Quirrell drinking it for me in the forest, and once I have the elixir of life, I will be able to create my own body, a body of my own. Now, why don't you give me that stone in your pocket? So he knew. The feeling suddenly surged back into Harry's legs. Liar! Harry shouted suddenly. Quirrell son was looking back at him so that Voldemort could still see him. The evil face was now smiling. How touching, it hissed. I always valued bravery. Yes, boy, your parents were brave. I killed your father first and he put up a courageous fight. But your mother needn't have died. She's trying to protect you. Now, give the stone unless you want her to have died in vain. Never! He spun towards the flame door, but Harry screamed, "Seize him!" And next second, Harry felt Quirrell's hand close on his wrist. At once, a needle-sharp pain seared across Harry's skull. His head felt as though it was about to split in two. He yelled, struggled with all his might, and to his surprise, Quirrell let go of him. The pain in his head lessened. He's looking around wildly to see where Quirrell had gone and saw him hunched in pain, looking at his fingers. They were blistering before his eyes. "Seize him! Seize him!" shrieked Voldemort again, and Quirrell lunged, knocking Harry clean off his feet, landing on top of him, both hands around Harry's neck. Harry's skull was almost blinding with pain, yet he could see Quirrell howling in agony. "Master, I cannot hold him! My hands! My hands!" And Quirrell, though pinning Harry to the ground with his knees, let go of his neck and stood bewildered at his own palms. Harry could see they looked burned, raw, red and shiny. "Then kill him, fool!" "And be done!" squeaked Voldemort. Quirrell raised his hands to perform a deadly curse. But Harry, by instinct, reached up and grabbed Quirrell's face. "Ah!" Quirrell rolled off him, his face blistering too, and then Harry knew. Quirrell couldn't touch his bare skin, not without suffering terrible pain. His only chance was to keep hold of Quirrell, keep him in enough to keep him stopping. Harry jumped to his feet, caught Quirrell by the arm and hung on as tight as he could. Quirrell screamed and tried to throw Harry off. The pain in Harry's head was building. He couldn't see, he could only hear Quirrell's terrible shrieks and Voldemort's yells of "Kill him! Kill him!" and other voices, maybe in Harry's own head, crying, "Harry! Harry, you can do it!" He felt Quirrell's arm wrenched from his grasp. He knew all was lost and fell into blackness. Down, down, down. Something gold was glinting just above him. The snake! He tried to catch it, but his arms were too heavy. He blinked. It wasn't the snitch at all. It was a pair of glasses. How strange. He blinked. The smiling face of Albus Dumbledore swam into view above him. "Good afternoon, Harry," said Dumbledore. Harry stared. Then he remembered. "Sir, the stone. It was Quirrell. He's got the stone." "Sir, quick! Calm yourself, dear boy. You are a little behind the times. Quirrell does not have the stone." "Then who does, sir?" "I." "Harry, please relax. Or Madame Pomfrey will help me throw it out." Harry, please. Harry swallowed and looked around him. He realised he must be in hospital room. He's lying in the bed with white linen sheets, and next to him was a table piled high. What was like a half the sweet shop. Token from your friends and admirers, said Dumbledore, beaming. What happened down in the dungeons between you and Professor Quirrell is a complete secret, so naturally the whole school knows. I believe your friends, Misters Fred and George Weasley, were responsible for trying to send you a lavatory seat. No doubt they thought it would amuse you. Madame Pomfrey, however, thought it might not be hygienic and confiscated it. How long have I been in here? 3 days. Mr. Ronald and Miss Granger will be most relieved you have come round. They have been extremely worried. But the stone, I see you are not to be distracted. Very well, the stone. Professor Quirrell did not manage to take it from you. I arrived in time to prevent that. Although you're doing very well on your own, I must say. You got there, you got Hermione's owl. We must have crossed in midair. No sooner had I reached London than it had been clear to me that the place I should be was the one I had just left. I arrived just in time to pull Quirrell off you. It was you! I feared I might be too late. You nearly were. I couldn't have kept him off the stone much longer. Not the stone. Boy, you. The effort involved nearly killed you. For one terrible moment there, I was afraid it had. As for the stone, it had been destroyed. Destroyed? Said Harry blankly. But your friend, Nicholas Flamel. Oh, you know about Nicholas? I'm quite delighted. You did the thing properly, did you? Well, Nicholas and I had a little chat and agreed it's all for the best. But that means he and his wife will die, won't they? They have enough elixirs stored to set their affairs in order, and then yes, they will die. Dumbledore smiled at the look of amazement on Harry's face. One as young as you, I'm sure it's incredible. But to Nicholas and Penelope, it really is like going to bed after a very, very long day. After all, to the well-organized mind, death is but the next great adventure. You know, the stone was really not such a wonderful thing. As much money in life as you could want. That the two things most human beings choose above all. The trouble is humans do have a knack of choosing precisely those things which are the worst for them. Harry lay there, lost for words. Harry hummed a little and smiled at the ceiling. Sir, said Harry, I've been thinking, sir, even if the stone's gone, you know who, call him Voldemort. Harry used always use the proper name for things. Fear of a name increases fear of the thing itself. Yes, sir. Well, Voldemort's going to try other ways of coming back, isn't he? I mean, he hasn't gone, has he? No, Harry, he has not. He's still out there somewhere, but perhaps looking for another body to share. Not being truly alive. He cannot be killed. He left Quirrell to die. He shows little as much mercy to his followers as his enemies. Nevertheless, Harry, while you may have only delayed his return to power, it will merely take someone who is prepared to fight that seems a losing battle next time. And if he delayed again, and why he may never return to power. Harry nodded but stopped quickly because it made his head hurt. Then he said, "There are some things I'd like to know if you can tell me. Things I want to know about the truth about." "The truth," Dumbledore sighed. "It is a beautiful and terrible thing, and therefore shall be treated with great caution. However, I shall answer your questions unless I have very good reason not to do. In which case I beg you will forgive me. I shall not, of course, lie." "Well, Voldemort, he said that he only killed my mother because he tried to stop him killing me. But why would he want to kill me in the first place?" "Alas, the first thing you ask me, I cannot tell you. Not today, not now. You will know one day. But put it from your mind for now. Harry, when you're older, I know you hate to hear this. When you're ready, you'll know." And Harry knew it would be no good to argue. "But why can't Quirrell touch me?" "Your mother died to save you. If there's one thing Voldemort cannot understand, it is love. He didn't realize that love, as powerful as your mother's, for you leaves its own marks. Not a scar, no invisible sign. To have been loved so deeply, even though a person who loved is gone, it will give us protection forever. It is in your skin, your very skin." Quirrell, full of hatred, greed, and ambition, sharing his soul with Voldemort, did not touch you for this reason. It was agony to touch a person marked by something so good. Dumbledore now became very interested in a bird out on the windowsill, which gave Harry time to dry his eyes on the sheet. When he had found his voice again, Harry said, "And the invisibility cloak. And this, do you know who sent it to me? Your father would like to leave it in my possession, and I thought you might like it. He did 4 things. Your father used it mainly for sneaking off to the kitchen to steal food when he was here. And there's something else. Fire away." Quirrell said Snape. Professor Snape. Oh, yes. Quirrell said he hates me because he hated my father. Is that true? Well, they did. Well, they detest each other. Not unlike yourself and Mr. Malfoy. And then your father did something Harry can never forgive. What? He saved his life. What? Yes, said Dumbledore dreamily. Funny the way people's minds work, isn't it? Professor Snape couldn't bear being in your father's debt. I do believe he worked so hard to protect you, Lucy, because he felt that it would make him and your mother and your father quits. Then he'd go back to hating your father's memory in peace. Harry tried to understand this, but it made his head pound, so he stopped. And so, there's one more thing. Just the one. How did I get the stone out of the mirror? Now I'm glad you asked me that. It's one of my more brilliant ideas between you and me that's saying something. You see, not only one who finds a stone finds it, but no use would be able to get it. Otherwise, they'd just see themselves making gold or drinking elixir or life. My brain surprises even me sometimes. Now, enough questions. I suggest you make a start on these sweets. Bertie bought every flavour beans. I was unfortunate enough in my youth to come across a vomit flavoured one. Vomit! And since then I'm afraid that I've rather lost my liking for them. But I think I would be safe with a nice toffee, don't you? He smiled and put the golden brown bean into his mouth, and he choked and said, "Let's relax!" Dumbledore keeps getting bad at it. He once had a waffle one, then he liked one which he thought is toffee. Madame Pomfrey, the matron, was a nice one, but very short. Just 5 minutes, Harry pleaded. Absolutely not. You let Professor Dumbledore in. Well, of course, that was a headmaster. Quite different. You need rest. I am resting, lying down and everything. Oh, go on, Madame Pomfrey. Oh, very well, she said, but 5 minutes only. And she let Ron and Hermione in. Harry! Hermione looked ready to fling her arms around him again, but Harry was glad she held herself in as her head was very sore. Oh, Harry, we're sure you're going to. Dumbledore was so worried. The whole school was talking about it, said Ron. What really happened? It was one of those rare occasions when the true story is even more than strange and exciting than wild rumors. Harry told them everything. Quirrell, the mirror, the stone, and Voldemort. Ron and Hermione were a very good audience. They gasped in all the right places, and when Harry told them what was under Quirrell's turban, Hermione screamed out loud, "Ah!" So the stone's gone, said Ron finally. So Mel's just going to die? That's what I said. But Dumbledore thinks that what was to it? To the well-organised mind, death is but the next great adventure. I always set his off his rocker. Ron looking quite impressed at how mad his hero was. So what happened to the two of you? Well, we got back all right. We were dashing up to the Owlry to contact Dumbledore. When we met him in the entrance hall, he already knew he had just said, Harry's gone after him, hadn't he? And hurtled off to the 3rd floor. Do you think he meant you to do something in your father's cloak and everything? Well, when he exploded, if he did, I mean to say that's terrible. You could have been killed. No, it isn't, said Harry thoughtfully. No, it isn't, said Harry thoughtfully. He's a funny man, Dumbledore. I think he wanted to sort of give me a chance. I think he knows more or less that goes on here. You know, I reckon he's had a pretty good idea what we're going to try, and instead of stopping us, just taught us enough to help. I didn't think it was an accident. He let me find out how the mirror worked. It almost like he thought he had the right. Yeah, Dumbledore's sparking up all right, but you've got to listen. You've got to be up for the points are all in and Slytherin won, of course. You missed the last match. At the moment, Madame Pomfrey bustled over. You've had nearly 15 minutes now out, she said firmly. After a good night's sleep, Harry felt nearly back to normal. I want to go to the feast, he said, as he shooted the many street boxes. Can't I? Professor Dumbledore, he says you are allowed to go, she said sniffily, as though, in her opinion, Professor Dumbledore didn't realise how risky feasts could be. And you have another visitor. Oh, good. Who is it? Hagrid closed the door as he spoke. As usual, when he was in the booth, Hagrid looked too big to be allowed. He sat down next to Harry and took one look at him and burst into tears. It's all my ruddy fault, he sobbed. His face in his hands. I told that evil kid how to pass Fluffy. I told him. It's that he didn't know, and I told him. It could have died. All for dragon egg. I should be chucked out and made to live as a muggle. Hagrid, said Harry, shocked to see Hagrid with grief and remorse, great tears leaking down into his bed. Hagrid, he'd have found out somehow. This is Voldemort we're talking about. He'd have found out if you hadn't told him. You could have died and don't say the name. Voldemort! Harry bellowed. And Harry was so shocked, he stopped crying. I meant to name and calling him by his name. Please cheer up, Hagrid. We've saved the stone. It's gone. You can't use it. A chocolate hug. I've got loads. Hagrid wiped his nose on the back of his head and said, that reminds me. It's not a stone sandwich, is it? Said Harry anxiously, and at last Hagrid gave a weak chuckle. Nah, Dumbledore gave me the day off yesterday to fix it. Course he should have sacked me instead. Anyway, he got you this. It seemed to be a handsome leather-covered book. Harry opened it curiously. It was full of wizard photographs, smiling and waving. From every page were his mother and father, sending out off to you, all your parents' old school friends asking for photos. Knew you didn't have any. Do you like it? Harry couldn't speak, but Hagrid understood. Harry made his way down to the end of feast alone that night. He had held up by Madame Pomfrey fussing about, insisting on giving him one last checkup, so the Great Hall was already full. It was decked out in the Slytherin colours of green and silver to celebrate Slytherin's winning of the House Cup for the 7th year in a row. A huge banner showed the Slytherin table. A huge banner showed the Slytherin serpent covered a wall behind the high table. When Harry walked in there was a sudden hush, and then everyone started talking loudly at once. He slipped into a seat between Ron and Hermione at the Gryffindor table and tried to ignore the fact that people were trying to stand up to look at him. Fortunately, Dumbledore arrived moments later. The babble died away. "Another year gone," Dumbledore said cheerfully, "and I must trouble you with an old man's wheezing waffle before we sink our teeth into our delicious feast. What a year it has been. Hopefully your heads are all a little farther than they are. Now, as I understand it, the House Cup needs awarding, and the points stand thus. In 4th place, Gryffindor with 312 points. In 3rd, Hufflepuff with 352. Ravenclaw have 426, and 5th, Slytherin 472. A storm of cheering and stomping broke out from the Slytherin table. Harry could see Draco Malfoy banging his goblet on the table. It was a sickening sight. Yes, well, stunned Slytherin, said Dumbledore. However, recent events must be taken into account. The room went very still. The Slytherin's smiles faded a little. "Ahem," said Dumbledore. "I have a few last-minute points to dish out. Let me see. Yes, first, to Mr. Ronald Weasley." Ron went purple in the face. He looked like a radish with bad sunburn. "For the best played game of chess Hogwarts has ever seen in many years, I award Gryffindor House 50 points. Gryffindor cheers nearly raised high, bewitched the ceiling. The stars seemed to quiver. Percy could be heard telling the other prefects, "My brother, my youngest brother got past McGonagall's giant test set." At last there was silence again. Second, to Miss Hermione Granger for the use of cool logic in the face of fire, I award Gryffindor House 50 points. Hermione buried her face in her hands. Harry strongly suspected she had burst into tears, but happy tears. Gryffindor up and down the tables were beside themselves. They were 100 points up. Third, to Mr. Harry Potter, said Dumbledore. The room went deadly quiet. For pure nerve and outstanding courage, I award Gryffindor House 60 points. The din was deafening. Those who could add up while yelling themselves hoarse knew that Gryffindor now had 472 points. Exactly the same as Slytherin. They had drawn up for the House Cup. If only Dumbledore had given Harry just one more point. Dumbledore raised his hands. The room gradually fell silent. "There are all kinds of courage," said Dumbledore, smiling. "It takes a great deal of bravery to stand up to our enemies, but just the same to stand up to our friends. I therefore award 10 points to Mr. Neville Longbottom." Some standing outside the Great Hall might well have thought that some sort of explosion had taken place so loud that the noise had erupted from the Gryffindor table. Harry, Ron and Hermione stood up to yell and cheer as Neville, white with shock, disappeared under a pile of people hugging him. He had never won so much as a point for Gryffindor before. Harry stood cheering, nudged Ron in the ribs and pointed out Malfoy, who couldn't have looked more stunned and horrified if he just had the body bind curse put on him. Which means Dumbledore called of the storm of applause for even Ravenclaw and Hufflepuff were celebrating the downfall for Slytherin. We need a little change of decoration. He clapped his hands in an instant. The green hangings became scarlet and silver became gold. The huge Slytherin serpent vanished and a towering Gryffindor lion took its place. Snape was shaking Professor McGonagall's hand with a horrible false smile. He caught Harry's eye, and Harry knew at once that Snape's feelings towards him hadn't changed that one jot. This didn't worry. It seemed as though life would be back normal next year, or as normal as ever, as it was Hogwarts. It was the best evening in Harry's life, even better than winning Quidditch, or Christmas, or knocking out mountain trolls. He'll never forget, ever forget tonight. Harry had almost forgotten that the exam results were to come. To the great surprise, both he and Ron passed with good marks. Hermione, of course, came top of the year. Even Neville scraped through. His good herbology mark came up for his abysmal potions run. They had hoped that Goyle, who is almost as stupid as he was mean, might be thrown out, but he passed too. It was a shame, but as Ron said, you can't have everything in life. And suddenly their wardrobes were empty, their trunks were packed. Neville's toad was found lurking in a corner of toilets. Notes were handing out all to the students, warning them not to use magic over the holidays. I always hope they'll forget to give us these, said Fred Weasley sadly. Hagrid was there to take them down to the fleet of boats that sailed across the lake. They were boarding the Hogwarts Express, talking and laughing, eating Bertie Bott's every flavour bean as they sped past Muggle towns, pulling off the wardrobes and putting on jackets and coats. Into platform 9 3/4 at King's Cross Station. It took a while for them to get off the platform. A wizened old guard was up by the ticket barrier, letting them go through the gate in 2s and 3s, so they didn't attract attention by all bursting out of a solid wall at once and alarming the Muggles. You must come and stay this summer, both of you. I'll send you an owl. Thanks, said Harry. I'll need something to looking forward to. People jostled them as they moved forward towards the gateway back to the Muggle world. Some of them called, "Bye, Harry! See you, Potter! Still famous," said one, grinning at him. He, Ron and Hermione passed through the gateway together. There he is, Mum, look. There he is, Mum, there he is, look. It was Ginny's younger sister, Ron's younger sister, but he wasn't pointing at Ron. Harry Potter, he squealed. Look, Mum, I can see. Be quiet, Ginny, and it's through to point. Mrs. Weasley smiled down at them. Busy here, he said. Very, said Harry. Thanks for the fudge and the jumper, Mrs. Weasley. Oh, it was nothing, dear. Ready, are you? It was Uncle Vernon, still purple-faced, still mustached, still looking furiously at the nose of Harry, carrying on an owl in a cage in a station full of ordinary people. Behind him stood Aunt Petunia and Dudley, looking terrified at the very sight of Harry. He must be Harry's family. In manner of speaking, said Uncle Vernon. Hurry up, boy. We haven't got all day. Hope to see you after a holiday. See you over the summer then. Hope you have a good holiday, said. Hope you have a good holiday, said Hermione, looking uncertainly after Uncle Vernon. So shocked that anyone could be so unpleasant. Oh, I will. And they went surprised at the grin that was spreading over his face. They don't know we're not allowed to use magic at home. I'm going to have a lot of fun with the Dursleys with Dudley this summer. I'm going to have a lot of fun with Dudley this summer. The end of chapter 17. And anyway, I finished this book. Anyway, the next book is Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. Bye.